Hello and welcome to episode 72 of Let's Talk Tactics. I'm your host, Zach Bro.
Hey, I'm Danable.
We are joined again by the legend, the man himself, JB79. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
The man killing it with the content lately. Also, congratulations on all
Yeah.
of that. Your following's kind of crazy. How much of your how much time do you put into your content creation these days?
It's kind of just a hobby for me. I try to get one, maybe two videos a week. I have a family, I have a job, so it's not like I can do stuff every day. But I kind of tinker around with the video editing, and that's been kind of fun to learn for me. And um, yeah, it's I'm surprised, that people have been into it because I still definitely try to hold on to that manual focus, like in my videos, at least somewhat.
No.
But especially like my latest video, the class match video I just put out. Unfortunately, like that video is not getting that many hits. Surprise, surprise. But it's like right around 500 views though, so that's some people
Pretty
seem to
good.
be enjoying it. I've gotten some comments on it, so
Nice.
You mean the videos that aren't telling people what to do with their money aren't doing as well? What?
What a strange concept.
It's so dumb. But yeah, no, I mean, congrats on all that. Like I said, I think your work on like the thumbnails and the editing honestly is a big pull to it, right? Like you do put time into it. Coming from me, I understand how much time that can take sometimes. So definitely kind of have gone on the lower end of that recently for the podcast. But yeah, moving on to today's topic, though. Obviously, this is a class match week, so that will be the primary focus of the podcast this week. However, I do want to talk about Resnick before we start. Because one, I've seen her in class match, and she may be something that comes up. And I guess if Laz shows up too, maybe give him a shout out. We'll give him a shout out anyway. I saw a disgusting match he had on stream. That was just the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen.
Really?
That he did with Resnick. Oh my god,
That's awesome.
it was filthy. I think JB, you were in that chat at that time, right?
yeah, I watched that.
Missed it.
And he's sitting there like cackling to himself. He's just yeah, he was killing it.
That's just pure Les.
Just like charm shenanigans. That's all I'll say. But
Yeah, I think the words in chat were like, "Well, there's -1 War of the Visions player after that match."
yeah,
Oh,
right. I'm surprised the person didn't quit sooner, to be honest. But all right. Let's get into Resnick. We did kind of normal unit review stuff on her. And then I guess we'll start. Did you guys pull for Resnick? Daniel, I'm gonna guess no because she's not limited.
Saving mode time. Yep.
Okay, JB, did you go for her?
So I went into the weeks saying I wasn't going to pull, and
I know that story.
I advised all my guild not to pull, and then
Naturally.
then Gumi like released the old style banner with the 25% chance that
Yeah.
was just enough of like a dangle to me that I was like, oh, maybe I'll just pull for one 25% hit, and I ended up getting her on that sixth pull with the soft pity. So
Nice.
Can we just pause real fast and ruminate on how you said the old banner? Like, there's been so many limited units that like, the regular non-collab limited units that have the usual 25% at pity seems like it's like old slash like refreshing,
That's how they do it, right? They
Isn't that
switch to
funny
a
about
slightly
gaming?
worse version that everyone hates, and they go back to like their medium version. Everyone's like,
Right.
"Yeah,
Like-
this is awesome." Yeah, she's a. So wait, so you got her on the sixth one? You said on that 25.
yeah, I got her
how-
on the sixth pull. I've been slow building her. I haven't really bought any shards, so she's like level 89, I think. So
Makes sense.
yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
just gonna
did.
wait for all those shard tickets that I have, collecting dust to get updated so I can finish her off.
Oh, that's true. They can get updated. I've been pumping farm because she's my last unit in the normal
Yeah.
banners to max out. But ooh, I should save those for Resnick now. But
I just finished farm.
oh, did you really? Nice. Did you farm her shards for the past couple weeks and months?
Yes, I've been farming her shards.
Thank you. Yeah, I did the whole I'll do the 3 steps on the step up and to get my prism ticket and like hey free pull, and I got her on the second pull on the prism ticket. So
Oh, I forgot to do that.
Nice.
Maybe that's worth it.
it's one of those like where I'm like I want to pull but I know I shouldn't, so I'm just gonna dip my toe in on the step up and just
Right.
and see what happens. But me and my under 10k viz. But Yeah, we're setting for Eliza now. But all right, back to Resnick. She has a 3-move, 1-jump, 90 cost unit with the main job Devout. It's one of my favorite jobs in the game. And then she has sub job Arithmetician and Thief, which is a super interesting combination to me. Whenever like a magic unit gets sub Thief, I get really excited because there's some
Right?
shenanigans that can happen. Like Shell is an example. Um,
Remember that
she
shell that came up to you a couple CMs ago, and you were like, "Oh, what's shell doing? Is she gonna quicken?" She just comes up and charms you immediately.
I was like, oh, they're going like, Rambo mode Shell. I respect it. I respect it. And all of a sudden, my unit attacked. I was like, oh shit. um, oh man, that was one of those matches. Like, even if I lose, I'm not even mad. Like, you got me.
It was at that point he knew he fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, what's up, Shell? Oh, that's what's up. Her TMR is Purple Greatcoat. It's a cloth piece with 364 HP, 6 defense, 12 spirit. So it's kind of like a, middling to low to mid. It's meh values. TMR skill. I love how we live in a world now where a 6-12 defense spirit split, by the way, is like meh for an armor. But the ability is Resilient Benediction, increases all attack resist by 10% for 3 turns for allies, and it actually has a range to it, so it's not centered on her. It's got a range of 3 with a cross. 1 use. That's interesting, but I think 10% is not super exciting to me. There may be other. I guess it covers a lot of bases, but I'd rather have something like Slash and Pierce 25 or something, like some kind of like 2, and then pick my battle based on what I think the meta is going to be, or pick my tools.
Well, I don't know. Since it's all attacks, it'll stack with like job buffs. Like double resist from Nightblade, like the Pierce and missile.
Oh, does it appear like that rainbow symbol?
Yeah,
It's not 5 individual. I guess in that case it's better.
because I'm guessing it'll stack. I don't have her obviously, but that is
JB, have you seen buffs like that?
I have not tried that, but I honestly I haven't tried that on Charlotte or on Celis either. So I don't know if that necessarily works because I mean they have the similar all resistance buffs.
All right, live PvP test squad.
Yeah, I was about to ask.
Deploy. if someone has
Let's go.
If someone has to say it has a unit with that effect, if you can check that for us, if you have the time, be much appreciated. No pressure, but it's
It would make
appreciated.
sense that it does. I mean, it does with like elemental resistance.
Right. I guess yeah, because it's all attack resist, not like listing all of the attack resists plus 10. So in that case, that actually does give a lot more application. I do like that. You could do some really crazy like anti-missile type shenanigans for approaches. But her mastery ability, she gets a normal lightning party buff for URs, as well as 10 healing power for self and 10 magic percent for self. Those actually like I do like healing power. I'm slowly respecting it more and more, especially as we get these class matches with healing power down. But 10% magic's kind of also. I guess we'll see what her values look like. But moving on to stats, we'll just look at the highlights here. Like her total agility is 64. I believe 59 of that is base, which is pretty solid. It's 1 away from like that 60 dream, but it's okay. She has 8 and 8 defense. She's pushing 600 magic, 597 after everything's said and done on her board. She has the 20% node, which helps. But that's a pretty nutty high value for a support. Well, what's intended to be a support unit, by Gumi anyway, right? The whole devout job. But
she is at 367 base magic, which she's in the top 25.
Oh, really?
She's right at the tail end of the top 25.
Whew.
I mean that's actually including a few units from JP. So I think in global right now she's probably top 20.
Sick.
So pretty decent.
Luck and dex wise, I still have a horrible mental shortcut on these. That luck to me looks low though. Can anybody confirm that her luck and dex are kind of meh?
The dex is average and the luck is on the lower side, I think.
And then of course our favorite resists. So she does get positive 15 slash and positive 5 missile, but actually the rest are all negative. She gets negative 5 magic, which is weird for a caster like her. Negative 10 strike and negative 15 pierce. She is definitely that's some risky business right there. But I guess missile and slash, if you had to pick 2, that's kind of where I'd want to be. And shore up the rest of those using whatever gear and VCs and stuff you have. But she has 50% poison resist, 50% confuse resist, and 10% berserk resist. These are okay. I prefer to see poison resist on tanks, especially like units with really high health pools or immortal spirit, or courage, whatever you want to call it. But she just has it here for value, I guess. 50% confuse is more niche than something like stop or charm or things like that, at least in our world in manual PvP. But it's an okay one to have if you're against that Barret. The number of people that had confusion near immunity against my Barret in class match, spoiler, was absurd, and I had no idea why, and I was very annoyed. And then 10% Berserk's nice if you come across that, but that's a more rare status condition. So I don't know, I'm not super excited about her resists. You guys have any comments before we move on to skills?
Just touching on her dex and luck real quick. She's below average, in both of those categories, and her innate accuracy is, I have it at 146%, which is well below. The UR average I have for accuracy is 170, just about 173. So she's about 27% below that.
Oof. Big
That's
oofs.
funny. That's funny you say that. Like, I haven't seen like your table for accuracy for like the average or whatever, but like I was gonna guess like 175. So that's cool. Not like I wasn't far off.
Yeah, so I've been working on a complete stats index that I'll share with the community once it's ready. So
Sweet.
Good.
Start this man a Patreon. No. Subscribe for your data sheets. No. All right. So getting into her skills, like I said, she is a devout. And one of her upgrades actually is to her passive. So she has devout intuition, which becomes metaphysical intuition. That's a Daniel Boone name right there. That's some good shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
Metaphysical intuition is dope. Increased defense and spirit both by 15 each. Decreased magic attack by 20. That's kind of the devout, like you're a support, you're not supposed to do damage, but your ratios are huge, so it doesn't matter. And then increase AoE resist by 15 for self. We love to say AoE resist. She has no other upgrades in the passives, and that's her only devout passive. Then she gets the normal arithmetician thief stuff. But notably, Thief Lore is part of Thief stuff, which gives you move 1 and agility 12, which is a personal favorite of, I think, a lot of us. So her reaction, she gets counter cure, damage distribution, and quick action. Personally, I think here I go counter cure to keep her alive longer, and it doesn't have a range, so it just happens. The agility 40% though is nice on quick action, but I don't know. If it was like CT up, kind of like I think is it yours Zazan that has a CT up on his, or who has the CT up?
He's got speed reflex. I can't remember the CT.
Oh, I guess haste, yeah. Well, if it was like haste or a just direct CT up, I'd be more excited, but agility 40% for one turn, like until her turn, basically. Not super thrilled.
CT1 is from Assassin, right?
Is that the one? Okay, I couldn't remember if it was Assassin or if it was a limited unit, but okay. Sweet.
I think so.
Sasaki said that too as well. Yeah, thank you.
Starting
her base agility is 59, and like including her passive and like board, she gets up to 71.
Okay.
So she's decently fast.
That's what the, like, if she hits that reaction, you mean? She gets up that high?
No. Just like, so she has the 59 base, she has 5 on her board, and then 71 if you include her 12% Thief Lore passive.
Oh, with Thief Lore. Okay, sweet. Oh, that's pretty solid. Then you give her like a 17 agility Esper, 20 agility Esper, somewhere in there. She's pushing 90s before we get into cards. It's pretty good.
Yeah, so I guess another 20% would be like another like 9 or 10 on top of that. About 10, almost 10, I guess.
Okay, I get behind that then. Would you guys start to skew towards the quick action for her to get a turn faster, or would you still kind of go counter cure, keep her alive, and not worry about it?
I'd go counter cure.
Yeah, counter cure. But I feel like we're kind of defensive players, you know?
Yeah. We're kind of like the control mid-range type.
It's more important to keep your units alive than to push a little bit more damage or whatever, you know?
Like, the only argument I could see is, like, because she has access to some heals and stuff, like, her taking a turn sooner is beneficial. She can get to supporting faster, but, I don't know, her staying alive is also pretty nice. Staying alive longer, potentially, based on another kill. However, if it's, like, a healing down CM, I could see switching to quick action, potentially.
Yeah.
But, anyway, going on to Devout, we've had a couple of these now, so we don't have to go in like super detail on all of the like normal skills, but we can go over her upgrades. Her Teachings of the Bolt goes to Teachings of the Strong Bolt. She's getting kind of the Nivlu treatment there, just adding strong under skill. This increases lightning attack by 30, debuff resist by 30, and then the whole cast time thing by 300. That's the normal part, and then her upgrade gives the single target resist 25 for ally as well. Single target resist, I would, if it was area, I'm more excited. But again, her having, can she cast this? You can cast this on yourself, right?
Yeah.
I would assume, because it's obviously
Yes,
sets for
I think
allies,
so.
just for whoever the target is. Oh, and she gives the cast time to herself when she buffs the ally too. I forgot about that part. So
It does have nice synergy with Esther, right? Because Esther brings the area resistance.
okay,
And, so I like this. It's kind of like the Minwoo has the more offensive version of the teaching skill, where
she
she
gives
gets
like
the
fire attack, right?
yeah, she gets the 15 upgrade on the fire attack, and Resnick here gets the defensive version with the resistance on there. So
If I remember correctly, like Cloud 2 has like a high AoE res.
yeah.
Maybe if Minu had the defensive version, she'd still be alive in the story. Oh, no, I was kidding. Dana's face. I knew that one was gonna hit. Sorry.
Too soon.
So she gets the just to mention her offensive skill, because I mentioned it during the passives, but she gets a 220 damage mod, just like all the devouts do, at their job level 12 in their main job. The Dream Inducer, 25% chance to sleep. This thing is just massive damage. I always love to mention this with devouts, and like, okay, in your passives you can decrease that down to 200. Like, that's kind of how they balanced it. Is like, oh, if they want to do damage with this thing and have all these other cool stats, like, they have to give up a little bit. It's like, but you're still getting me a 200 mod. Like, this skill is, I love this skill. And then sleep is such a brutal status too. It removes your evasion if you are evasive, and then also you take, what is it, like 50% more damage or
50%.
something? It's a real smack in the face for evasions.
I think people haven't really seen it as much because I think usually it's on like a devout sub job for somebody that isn't a devout main. So I could be wrong, but like I haven't really seen it as much.
I mean, we just don't see sleep that much. What's that?
Minwoo does have Dream Inducer on her.
Yeah, she
job.
does. That's nice.
Yeah. Which another interesting dichotomy between her and Minwoo is Minwoo's job 25 is Ultima, and
Yeah.
Resnick here is getting a defensive spell for her job 25. So
yeah, Law of Refuge, the skill you're talking about. Reduces
Yeah.
physical damage by 50% for 3 times for ally, not self. So specifically, she can't give it to herself. But she does get hate down 6, which is relevant for not manual PvP. So we'll kind of just talk about the main part. Being able to grant a 50% barrier is really cool to me. A lot of times you get, if you have like an AoE one that you can give to other people, it's like 35, 25, 30%. You're preventing X amount of damage. You're not getting these like these 50% targeted ones. Is this the first time we've gotten it?
Yeah, and it's 4 range and no cast time. I mean,
well,
Yeah.
Cecil has the barrier that he brings, and Warrior of Light can give a barrier as well.
But this doesn't cost like 10% of your health, though.
I thought you meant for devouts. Sorry.
Oh, no, I meant in general. Also, Daniel, you're not wearing headphones today, so if you're unmuting before any of us are done talking, it's reverbing like crazy.
Gotcha. All right.
So, not like super huge deal, but it is coming up often.
Hey, be more polite. Gotcha.
Put headphones on. That's what I'm actually saying. Less aggressively. And moving down to her, her job 12 skills on her sub jobs. Arithmetician, she gets the Cura, so the giant AoE cure. And then Thief, she gets Steel Heart, which is, I feel like whenever I see Steel Heart, it pushes my like chance of pulling or building a unit up by like 5 to 10%, just because you never know when you can just play the unit and have that tool available, and everyone has to respect it. Like, they have to either assume you're running it or at least fear that you're running it. And then,
I feel like it's been a while since we've seen that on a unit too. It's been a long time.
It's cool you can put her with like Rev Yes too, so you can have like 2 sneaky lightning charm units, but they also get to share all of the benefits of being, mono element together. Plus cost limitation stuff for Rev Yes is pretty good. Limit Burst, Reign of Rallying. So this is actually so it costs AP because it's a limit burst. And unless was it Elda, they got the upgrade to being TP. but it's a supportive one. So increases HP. So it says increase HP, by the way. So this a heal? Because it's not restore HP. So I think it's like buffing max HP, which I assume you heal by the same amount to fill up that bar. By
I feel like that has to be
310x.
like that has to be wrong. I don't know.
It,
I
Yeah,
haven't actually used it yet though, but that
Ayaka's LB says increase HP as well, so it's like an
does
Ayaka
it?
LB. It's by the same amount too.
Interesting. It must be like LB wording. That's really weird though, because like whenever we see increase HP, normally
Yeah,
it says increase HP and heal by the same amount, and it
it
like gives you.
says increase max HP for that.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. Yep, it's missing the word max. So yeah, I would. Yep. Okay. So basically an Ayaka heal, like you said, it's got the same giant, the burst diamond, whatever AoE we want to call it. Gives attack and magic buff by 40% for allies and dispels all debuffs. Now it does not say haste, or like I guess haste is, never mind, be the other way around because haste is a buff. But it doesn't remove any status effects like slow or things like that. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. 69 AP though for a healing skill. Ooh, it's so crazy. At least some of her stuff is like high TP. Like she's got like the 42 TP to give the barrier, so she's gonna get some of it back. And she is a mage, so she starts off with more, but that's still a brutal amount. That's multiple spellcasts. But overall, so JB, you did say you kind of you talked yourself into it. I want to talk about what you like about her.
So one thing that I really like about her is that she has this sort of specialization around debuffs. I mean, there's some commonality there, like with other, devoutes as well. That 30 debuff resistance, I feel like, is really you could build some interesting strategies around that with trust stones now, like the attack and elemental debuff resistance. If you combo that with this, this buff, and then she has that ability to remove, debuffs on her limit break as well. So I think that's a really interesting bruising strategy. A lot of times, the attacks that are really popping you in battle are the ones that are applying that slash res down or the elemental resist down, or even defense or spirit breaks as well. So being able just to have a pretty large chance to not take that debuff before the damage, I think is a pretty big deal, especially when you have that healing behind you where you can restore up and sort of mute the enemy's attacks for a little while. So um, I think that's kind of the differentiation point between her and Velis. I feel like Velis is, he has the strong heals, but he doesn't have that ability to sort of mute the debuff resistance of the enemy. So he's bringing sort of haste and the speed kind of in lieu of that. So I think that's and then of course she has the charm factor and the mobility factor, which is nice. So it's kind of it depends what you want to do if you want to pick between I think these two support heroes, but I think they each kind of have an interesting niche that they could fill.
And then Daniel, I know you're holding off due to non-limited kind of thing, but how are you feel about the unit overall?
I mean, I think she's interesting, and I'm looking forward to picking her up at some point. But in terms of her viability for manual PvP, I'm just wondering, like, will you use her over somebody else in your three-man team? Like if you're going mono lightning, it seems like people prefer like the more bruiser units like Cloud and Esther and obviously Charlotte's the tank, but there's still like Ibarra, Renan, like even I don't know if people want to run Queen or anything, but like 9S, Frederica, there's just sorry. There's I'm not sure if people are gonna choose her over other lightning units for manual. So I'd like to see what people think about her in that regard.
Yeah, and I mean being 90 cost is a real cost too, no pun intended. I'm sorry, one sec. Oh my god, I can't keep my throat clear this morning. Sorry. 90 cost is a real cost in team building. It creates some awkward situations where you can't use some MR units or you can't use a 100 cost unit as liberally on your team. And to put that amount of investment into a supportive unit that's not something like Velis who can easily flip and turn offensive is a real cost. And if you play her on Thief, how many offensive skills does she have? One. Like she can throw a snipe dagger, but like unless you're banking on that confuse, I'm probably not trying to throw a snipe dagger. I'm gonna do something else. So it's rough unless she has like a VC that has an ability on it or something, of course. But like I think because she, you might be doing like a lightning VC thing. You could put what's the skull VC, right, that gives her ruin jet or something. So like maybe she has that, but also maybe not because of other VCs we've gotten since then. But yeah, putting that much cost into a unit that can't as easily flip around to be offensive as Velas makes me a little nervous. And I think that would be my number one concern with running her. But obviously the support kit on her is awesome. Like I love the rest of it. So yeah. Any final thoughts on Resnick before we move into? We'll touch on the staff that came out with her as well, real quick. But I wouldn't say it's like a staff for her. So we'll just separate topics.
So
Yeah.
I have one thing that I'll add there, like in terms of like how you might use her, and I've been sort of looking ahead to. We have sort of a second generation of MR units coming into the pool very soon. Free MR units that we're going to get. That's going to start, I believe, with Renell, which should be pretty soon, like around the new Leela unit. But like a month or so later, we're going to get Cyril, which is a wind unit at 50 cost. So I think that that's an interesting play there. You could have, I think Resnick just makes sense to run with Esther. Like their synergy there is like a bruiser healer is very strong, but then you could throw that 50 cost Cyril in there, who's a wind unit. Gives you some protection against Earth, but she does have a very strong kit as well, and she's kind of a little bit bruisery as well. So I think that could be a pretty nice combination.
Sweet. That's interesting too to use an MR as the element cover. Also, like that just speaks to the power of what that MR is going to be too.
She,
Like
she's really strong. Like I mean, if you guys have a chance to look at her stats, I mean, she's got almost 600 attack, like decent agility, like
Shadow Link stuff. Yeah.
pretty good accuracy. Like she brings a lot of strong, dispels. Like she can dispel, protect, shell, and Celis's runic. So she's a really really good unit. I think she's going to be very good in class match. So
Sick. I think like other units that I would off element as a cover would be like Seymour might be one for the charm and for just really high fire damage for a nice squad. But I guess not for a nice squad, but just in general. Um, yeah, that's pretty sweet. Okay, so real quick, the rune staff came out, and this is one. I mean, there's a 15 accuracy aim version, but if you're putting this on a healer, I just want my magic to be as high as possible. I feel like so. Which, by the way, the reason I say healer is its +5 ability is increase healing power by 15, which is actually a pretty significant amount. I could have seen them easily doing like 10 or something. Yeah, we haven't had a effect like this. We've had a staff that gives a heal, but not one that increases healing power, as far as I can remember, unless there's a TMR that I'm forgetting. But any special thoughts on this, or just cool? We have a healing staff now. Yep, thumbs up from Danny.
I think it's cool. I do wish it was 20 though, like because the trust stone you can get 10 already, and it's kind of like 5 more, whatever. But
Right,
yeah,
just go higher magic somewhere else.
I think like on certain units, it's interesting. Like Resnick being one of them, or Aerith or Yuna, So
And then also we'll talk about the last thing before class match, the Starlight Sword. I think these items are incredible. I've looked ahead at some of the ones coming in JP, and I cannot wait for Rafal's dagger. But well, I'm forgetting his name. Lucio got his sort of special sword. It has some irrelevant HP, 172 attack, irrelevant magic, and then 6 accuracy, 7 crit, meh, but pretty decent attack value. However, the passives, if you are Lucio, you get 30% attack, 100% defense debuff resistance, and 10% resistance to each elemental type. And then anybody who uses it gets /tech 20. Yeah, that I saw Lucio in class match, and this must be why. They must have this sword. And I didn't look at the stats yet. These weapons are insane for these like sort of select free whatever units. Have you guys used this yet to like see like how powerful he feels now?
just in PVE, like but yeah, it's really strong for him. It definitely will free up some passive slots for you on trust stones as well. You're not forced into maybe taking, attack.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing though is that all elemental resistance will stack with like the HP Trust Stone set as well, and then you could throw like some individual resists on there, like dark or whatever. So just like with a couple of slots, you're going to be able to have very high resistance to elements, which is pretty cool.
I mean, before Espers, that's like what? So you get the 10 here, the 5 from the set, so that's 15. Plus, you get up to what, 7 on Trust Stones, so it'd be 22%. And then, depending on how many you choose, I imagine people would go like what? Light, probably dark because he's a light unit. You want to try to live through those hits. Then I could see maybe like lightning because we are manual PvP people. And then, I don't know, maybe we go like earth and ice as well. But yeah, that's pretty sweet. And then put him on a team with King Mont, get that buff going, do some crazy stuff. But Daniel, have you used the sword yet?
I actually just built it yesterday. Just maxed it. Because I was waiting to get my the whatever pass for a week or whatever. Because I had like other stuff that I was waiting to build. My thoughts, like it doesn't have slash pen, it doesn't have defense pen, so that's something that you're gonna have to compensate for in TMRs if you are really worried about that, which I mean that's relevant. Um, mm, I haven't used it at all. I haven't used Lucio in PvP in a while. Um, I just want to mention real quick that like these 5-star weapons, they're not automatically maxed from the like the 3-star weapons are. So just be
Okay.
careful instead of just like I had to use seals to max it out.
Yeah, that's it for me. I guess we can move on to class match now. So, if anybody is following along at home, I'm going to link in the chat here the map. So if you'd like to hear us talk about it with the P and E value references, there it is. How's everyone's class match been going? I know Daniel's killing it. I saw you at the top there. Are you still undefeated?
I'm not. No.
Ooh.
It was Friday where I got DC'd that it cut my streak at like 11. And then I had a fun match against Vinny that I lost. And then yesterday, I think I lost against. I can't believe I'm blanking. I lost against a good player, and then today, I just lost against White Rose. So, I think I'm at like that's like 4, right? Yeah, like 4 losses. So I'm hoping to build my streak back up, but yeah, I'm doing all right. Like Diamond Master is really the end goal, right?
Sure.
So unless you're really trying to push the top ranks, which I don't really care about anymore.
Fair. JB, how's your run going so far?
It's going okay. I am 15-5. I have 2 DCs, and I have that's my fault for just being lazy and playing on emulator. Like,
Oh, okay.
it's just easier for me to play on the computer and just sort of click around, and that's what I'm used to, like from farming and whatnot. So, um, but yeah, I had one sort of tough loss against Mageddon as well, where he pulled off like a 28% charm, and that was the difference. I played a pretty interesting game against Luca. It was the light versus dark matchup. I'm running Prompto and Joker. I've just really been wanting to work on that team and sort of push light out of the meta because I'm sick of it. But
Fair.
he has a very strong team with it's a castle team centered around Jaden, and he's got Lorenzo and Violet sort of bouncing for him. So
When you
uh,
say castle, what are you meaning by that?
just meaning he just sort of waits in the corner for you to
I
approach, and
thought. Okay.
then he moves in and keen blades, and you're dead. So
Yeah, I have definitely run into better range teams because as mentioned earlier, I was using Barrett. So I had Velis Barrett because I'm forcing Velis no matter what I do. And then Curry as the third one. And yeah, some teams are just better at doing that same job. There's been multiple like Jade and Thena teams I've seen that were pretty rough. Like Thena's doing like 4K damage, which is enough to like nearly kill Curry. Yeah, it's it's pretty brutal. This map is rough. So I guess yeah, we'll go around with teams now. So we'll go back to Daniel. What have you been rocking? Have you same team, changing stuff all the time? What kind of what are you doing?
So generally, I give myself like a couple days leeway to figure out what teams I feel I want to run the most. And that's kind of counterintuitive to like my assertion like long ago where like CM is where you want to bring your A team, you know, like you practice in free match or practice match or whatever, and like you stick with that team. But I guess I'm kind of walking back on that assertion because um you're not always going to fight against the meta you're thinking, and you're always going to like there's always the possibility of matching up against another like top PvP player running like whatever they want to run, and maybe it's more effective than what you were expecting, right? So like I messed around with a few teams for the first couple days and just managed to win them. So that was cool. I tried a light evade team, but that just felt bad. I tried a different light of aid team with Fina because I know a long time was running that. That was fun. Like it wasn't just pure light of aid because like Fina was able to like snipe from range, you know, with like a lot of damage, and she was like Elena's replacement basically.
Hmm.
Um, a light evade budget team or something. Um,
Budget light.
but no, I tried my usual like win team and fire team and stuff, but you know obviously with like the limited cost restrictions, you had to take that into account. But then, so I ended up picking Joker, Ziza, and Halloween Little Lita for my team that I've been sticking with. Mostly, I think it's mostly because of Itoman PR. He, I just invited him to the Church of Ziza because like he was talking about using her a lot, and I didn't realize that he's been a part of the church this whole time, just like not in name. So I know I haven't really talked about Ziza in a long time, but she's still my favorite unit, and I realized that um, like I'm already in Diamond Master. I'm not really too worried about getting pushed out, obviously, and or hitting top ranks. Like I know I was in the running for like top 10 at least, and I think I might still if I can get a streak again. But win streak, the system is horrible. Obviously, we all know that. So that just like the most fun for me is using Ziza on a team. Not like caring about win streaks or whatever. So it's been really fun. Like Joker, like you know, has like the instant protect and barrier, and has like the cover fire for her when she goes in. Like I'm obviously using the Zombie Ryryu's TMR for the re-raise, and Halloween Little Leela is like the magic side of things, where obviously she has insane range. I think I actually have her built for like semi evade and Ziza for like almost full evade. Just to get like that kind of defensive measure, you know, because I mean,
The
so
soft
many
evade.
people are like tired of light evade. Like that just feels like everybody's running accuracy. So it's like, why even bother? I remember that one time I matched against Orange J in a tournament, like one of Longtime's tournaments, and I knew he was running Pierce units, so I just stacked a bunch of Pierce resistance on Ziza, and it took him like 3 or 4 shots on her to kill her, and that's saying something because you know back then like Ziza was pretty easy to kill, so that was fun. That's what that reminds me of. And yeah, I haven't really run into too much difficulty running that team. I think it kind of covers a lot of bases, but it does have its weaknesses. Like obviously, like I said, accuracy. I struggled against. I think so. The team I was talking about, I couldn't remember who the player was. His name is Surf Taco, but he goes by like
There you
OH
go.
Cloud or OH Cloud or
Surf.
something in game. He was running a high accuracy Astrius Jaden Phoebe builds where like Phoebe like hastes them and they walk up and they don't take a attack, so like they get to go again before your units, you know, if as long as you've moved and attacked. Um, so yeah, when I went to snipe Jaden with Joker, I realized he had 95% missile resistance, and I was like, "What the? I've never seen that before.
Yep, it's
It
so
was
obnoxious.
ridiculous." So, yeah, kudos to him. And I know later he was like, "Yeah, I finally beat him." So yeah, kudos to you, man. That was a sick team. I'm very impressed. But I don't know. I think overall, I'm kind of reconsidering. Like, I might have to come up with a different team now because I mean, like I said, there's just so much accuracy. Like you can't rely on evading um consistently. So But I've been having a lot of fun with Ziza, so it kind of makes up for it, you know. But I guess my choice now is like, do I want to stick with this team that I know maybe subpar, or do I want to come up with something else? So we'll figure that out and probably talk about it next week.
Hey man, if you started the first couple days undefeated and you're switching teams like those that many different teams, that's some good shit right there. Like shows real variety and flexibility. So I mean props on that. Like a lot of people, especially myself, will just like, one team and just try to like ride it as much as you can, maybe make some tweaks, but like switching teams completely is insane. So
Thanks.
props there. JB, what have your teams been looking like this class match? Well, I know you mentioned what like, a couple of units, but have you switched anything around or
Yeah, so I've been running Joker, Prompto, and Lorenzo,
dude,
and
that team is so filthy.
it
It's
is
so
pretty
good.
good. My problem again has been that the Jaden matchup. That's where I've run into a couple problems approaching him. Like if Jaden himself has the his own haste and keen blade available to him, which most of the players do. So um, yeah, it's been going pretty good. Like I said, I've had a modicum of success with it. I've been really wanting to. I've been excited for Joker for a while. I really like his kit. I think it's really solid for class match and live PvP, and it's the results I think of people have seen how strong he's been. So one thing that I did actually run into Urza Rage's team last night, and he was running that same Jaden with Violet and Lorenzo, same team Luca's running, and I was able to beat it because after losing to Luca, I changed Joker's TMR over to the re-raise TMR to Halloween Ryu's TMR, and that allowed me to sort of push up and get in his face. It took him actually uh, 3 hits to actually kill my Joker the first time, which I
Crazy.
thought was impressive. He took out my barrier with Jaden's LB. Then Violet, even with the chain, wasn't able to kill him, which was
Wow.
crazy. Um, I am running the Diabolos card on him, so that helps. But yeah, then I was just able to, his actual Jaden was nullified for missile, so that was really all I could do was try to get up on him, and you know I was able to use my big slash attack at that point, and that was able to one shot Jaden. So it's going
That's
pretty good.
crazy. Now Jaden's reflex is a magic reflex, right? If I remember.
Yeah.
It's not physical, okay. Cause yeah, I remember last night, there was one match where I had to just like I was either gonna one shot the Jaden with Velas or I was gonna lose the match and it hit him. But I had a game earlier in the class match where it reflexed and it was just so heartbreaking because whenever they don't have like full reflex, I kind of get that quick shock of like, oh wait, what? How'd you Oh, it's a specific one, and I chose that that way to hit you. But
His missile resistance just makes him so good, like for
oh, it's
those
insane.
mirror matchups.
Yeah,
He'll
because like,
almost
oh
always
sorry,
be able to win those, like unless you can get a rush on him. So
it's like what counters missile is typically either a longer range missile or yeah, crazy resist like that, but you remove one of those potential counters by just you nullify a missile. It's nuts.
yeah, I mean
Um,
the only other way
it's for
is
3 turns, but
quicken, right? Which we don't, which
also quicken.
it's banned.
Yeah, and like even Keyblade's a little awkward on this map because because the middle is so obstructive based on these spawn positions and where you can go like it's like so if we're looking at the map here, the like E13 and P13 are like the best spots. I guess the 15s as well, like where you can run straight across. Otherwise, you got to go at least to the side ones, which really hampers how you can approach. However, on that note, actually, let's touch on this real quick. There is a team that now exists that is being said as like the upgraded Cheese Blade. So, do either of you know kind of the in and outs of that team? I know the general idea of what they're doing,
I
but
do, I know it.
so you want to talk about that? Because last night you were saying to be careful. Like if I come up against that team, like I'm gonna have a rough time because of the way I started. I'm like, listen, man, if they got it, they got it. Like, cool. I haven't seen it yet. Um, yeah,
I
you
don't,
want to touch
I
on that?
don't, I don't think that it's. I don't. So I called it the sacrificial quicken play. That was sort of my naming for it because essentially what you're doing is, and then this is something that I didn't know before, is that CT average actually accounts for CT overflow.
Hmm.
So if it, he, so basically this, I think Seer was the person that was, kind of blew everybody's minds the first day against Rindell. But essentially, what he did is he has Cloud just start off with Keen Blade, his Leela. So at that point, Fred has somewhere around maybe 140 to 150 CT. His Leela goes next, and then CT averages just Cloud and Fred. So Cloud at that point has 50 from the Keen Blade. He essentially gets another 50 from Frederica. Um, Fred still has her turn, right? Because she's going to go down to approximately 95 to 100, depends on the agility at that point. So Cloud just gets to go again right away. Really interesting play. The reason why it worked so well is because Rindell was lined up on the left side of the map, so Cloud could just walk straight across and triple slash, and it was over. Um, but I mean, that's the risk that you take, sort of lining up on that side of the map for any kind of rush play. Uh, any sort of keen blade or haste play. You're going to be a little bit exposed there, like if you're running a little bit slower team. So
That's actually why I haven't positioned like Ziza like that, because I know we've seen like in the past, like Raph, for instance, had like his on that missile heavy like Snowy Mountains map. He won with like Victoria, Ziza, and somebody else.
Probably
Um,
yes.
okay.
Think
And like
because
he
I
would just
think
run forward with re-raise. So like I still remember that, and I didn't want to be subject to that kind of blitzkrieg play. So um, yeah, that's why I'm not rushing forward to charm somebody ASAP.
yeah, I
yeah,
guess it's
go ahead.
I guess it's powerful because the idea here, right, is that Cloud can also barrage because he has the AP from the Keen Blade, but also gets to take a turn and doesn't have to wait a cycle. So, and you don't have to play Eldira, is a nice benefit as well. Um, but you go barrage into barrage, which is just a crazy chain with the way those two units have their penetrations lined up. So, yeah, I could see that being really powerful. But yeah, once you do that, though, I mean, if it doesn't kill him, you're a little gassed, I feel like. Because how does Frederica follow up? Because how much AP does she have? Can she barrage on turn one now with like runes and stuff?
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing about this CM is Fred just got her mastery too, which is she has 30% reduction on her AP cost.
Gotcha.
So her barrage is costing her like 32 AP or something like that,
Sounds
maybe
about right.
33. And that's crazy. We've never had to worry about that before from Frederica, and it's one of the reasons why Halloween Leela has always been so powerful with those early blitz plays, is because she has the AP just to blow you out right away. Um, so being able to pull that off now with Cloud and Fred, I think it's actually more powerful to set up the chain with his triple slash, assuming you have the range, right? Because then Fred, she's setting up on a 3-hit chain. So
Oh, of course. Yeah. I just imagine
uh,
that there will be times where you can hit with the barrage, but you can't hit with the triple slash.
yeah, yeah, no doubt. Like if the other players had a chance to move around a little bit and spread out a little, for sure.
I expect that Seer hasn't been undefeated. Mostly because like Barrage isn't a sure hit unless you're using Summer Lilith, obviously. So with such a hyper agility team, I suspect he doesn't have as high of an accuracy as he could have otherwise. So I'm guessing he's had some losses to due to like evade, for instance, where like the barrages don't like always hit. Or maybe he's run into like the Jaden like null missile team or Earth teams or whatever, which I know are somewhat prevalent as well. So I think it's a really cool strategy, and having the Halloween little Leela there to counter the Earth, that counters his lightning. That's cool too. But yeah, I can see how it's not 100% effective, and I think that's a good thing.
I mean, to be fair, though, that triple slash skill that we're talking, it's triple slash, you said, right, JB?
Yeah.
It is sure hit,
Yeah, it is.
and
You
not
gotta be
missile. But yeah, if he can get the range, because you said he ends up with 50 CT because of the Keen Blade, right? So he's moving and using the ability, I imagine, turn one. That's how he gets the range. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, it is position dependent though.
so he essentially has an effective 12 range on the play. He's got 4 movement times 2, and then the 4 on triple slash. So
Oh, 'cause he has mercenary, right? He does have 4 movement. Okay, and my brain was thinking 3-1 for some reason. Cloud is one of those units like I wish I had, but like at both times he's available, I really couldn't like afford to go for him at the time. It's too many other things going on. But man,
The really interesting thing
sucks
that
not
I
having him.
think about this play is that if you really master it and you're really good at counting your CT, you can really pull this off at any point, right?
Hmm.
Assuming you've maybe you've already lined it up for turn one, and if the play is not there, you can sort of just move your units together and you can run it, at an maybe turn two or turn three, whenever it crops up and you have the range. Cheeseblade doesn't really have that flexibility. You know, after turn one, if the play's not there, I think it's a little bit harder to pull off. Obviously you can still do it, but you have sort of weaker units in Elvira and Stern kind of um, as well to sort of hold you back. But
Right,
yeah,
like at the very worst, you have like a decent team of Frederica and Cloud, and then Lil Lilo, while not being the best with those other two, is still a solid unit and has full life and things like that. So
So
pretty
I'm
sweet.
guessing is that why you called it the Quicken Sacrificial team or the Sacrificial Quicken team? Because it seems like um, it's almost like a Quicken team. You have to agility tune all three units so that they're pretty similar, and then it's your choice like what the buildup is. Like, do you do it turn one? Yeah, it's actually more flexible because you can actually do it turn one because they're all like similar CT.
yep.
Or like Quicken teams, like you have to try to balance it out for when you're ready to strike.
I,
I'm
I
guessing that way.
yeah, I essentially think of it just like a Quicken because it's a clever way to use Quicken in a band rule set. I mean, you just and the sacrificial part is you're just giving up 50 CT from Fred to give it to Cloud, and that constitutes your Quicken. So
Quick mention from Zenith in chat. Good point. Halloween Lila can't have full life, like I mentioned, because she's on arithmetician sub job to get the CT average. So that is one dock against her on the team, but still a solid team overall. Just one less tool than I was thinking.
yeah, I mean, I think all three of those units are what I would call in the conversation for meta units. Cloud, Fred, and HLL. Um, and we've been seeing them a lot, and we've actually been seeing the permutation of using all three of them together quite a lot in this CM as well.
I guess other things that or other experiences for myself. I did switch off of Barrett last night to go to Aranea. In an attempt to sort of combat the missile team. She does have better missile resist. You can do the jumping bean strategy where she can stay in the air for a while to try to keep away from damage while she approaches. Can close distance a lot better, and she can hold Keenblade. So I'm able to kind of have the counter Keenblade plays available if my opponent stumbles on their timing or doesn't expect me to have it in a certain position. However, I feel like I sometimes I overthink it and I try to set things up for like the next turn so units are together, and then I have to like really awkwardly move, and it's man, this map is so tough to navigate sometimes. I screwed myself last night with the Mastery TMR. I tried to set it up and I realized Velas was one space away from being able to get in the middle of them, so I had to like pivot and do something really bad. Lost that game. It was awful. It was against a guilty Aelin. Shout out to you. A pretty sweet team too. I've
Have
actually
you
seen Ziza a couple times.
have you
Um,
thought about like the Victoria Curry angle with Arnea?
with RNA?
Yeah, is that like within cost limits? It should be, right?
Yeah, that would be. Just then I don't play Velas, which hurts my soul.
Well,
Um,
I know like the frostbite angle is something that's like near and dear to your heart.
the what?
The frostbite
Oh yeah, yeah,
application.
yeah. Because is that on Victor? It's on her job 25, right? Or is it an
I think
upgrade?
so,
I
yeah. And she
forget.
has high missile resistance, and she and Corey can frostbite, and she can charm with her LB. So, have you thought about that at all?
I thought about it last night. And then I was in. Well, not with Curry though, like with Velas. But I realized I was changing my team and formation, not in class match. I was like, no way this cost works. I can play Victra instead of Curry with like Velas and Aranea. No, you can't. It's like 22 high or whatever. I was on the wrong screen. I was so excited and then it didn't work out. But I mean, if I dropped Velas down to an 80 cost though, I could do that. Like I wouldn't have to use Curry if I didn't want to. Though the frostbite is really nice. The only problem is like the teams that I want to frostbite, they're usually in my face by the second or third turn, and then they can just kill Curry anyway and like they can kill my units before the frostbite drains them, or they're missile teams who like I can't who are like Jaden, who like frostbite hurts, but he still gets a couple attacks out even after being frostbitten, especially if he revitalizes turn 1 and gets like 1 turn of gen or something. So it's like frostbite has not seemed nearly as impactful this CM. Although it could also be the fact that I was hitting like 80% of them last CM might have made it feel a lot better. Whereas this one, it's maybe more of like a closer to what the actual percent chances, like 38 are.
I feel
Uh,
like I feel like Frostbite overall is it really needs that ramp up time in order to have an impact, especially like on a longer map like this where it's a 15 tile length. Before you can get into range, that team's gonna have had like at least 1 to 2 buff cycles.
exactly.
Um, I think like I think Frostbite, in my opinion, is going to be a lot more interesting when you have another unit on your team who can also drain AP, which you can actually do with Velis. He does have that TP move in it, but you have to. I think that's only in his main job sub, which
Yep.
makes it a harder consideration.
Which I am using actually. I do have. I did it last night to someone, but
Interesting.
um,
But like
he
you can think about like units coming along for ice that you could combo. Um, I think Eliza, if I remember correctly, has some AP drain that she can do from a range.
Ooh, if there's an arrow that she gets that drains AP, yes. Also, I think the other reason Curry has not felt as impactful as CM is I'm not using the Summer Lilith classes on him. I do have bells for a combination of both the agility and the fact that I don't really have time to. I don't really have a good safe place to post him up because of with that obstruction in the middle. I can't just post him in the middle and just lob everything. Um, or actually, I guess wait, can you shoot over the middle with range units? Because it's not a pillar, right? So I guess I've
Yeah,
just had shit range because of my height differences or something. But like the fact
yeah.
that the other sides are like 2s and 3s, I can't get a height advantage on them typically. So my range has just been a lot lower than previous CMs. It's not been as nice for sure. And then like he's only got like 5k health, and with a Mastery TMR, sometimes that's not even enough to live a hit. People are dealing like 8,000 damage. So it's been a rough curry time.
That middle obstacle is definitely like super hard for Barrett too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 'cause unfortunately for Barrett, he doesn't have. I mean, he's kind of based around those gunner rules that, for some reason, Gumi just likes to enforce those stupid rules on gunner units and not on people throwing their swords, and apparently not on Joker's gun.
God.
Um, so
Oh wait, yeah, that's right. I died to
Joker
Joker.
is able to shoot over the middles,
I forgot he had
inexplicably.
concentration. So one match I counted out. I'm like, oh, he's got like 5+1. I'm on the AoE, blah blah. I'm good. Curry safe, and then Curry wasn't safe
Curry,
at
no.
all. Curry just got blasted off the map. I was like posted up on a 3. I'm like, you can't get height advantage to like get an extra range or anything. We're good. No, it's not even close.
I can see
Uh,
how like you couldn't like arc a Gatling gun. Like you can arc an arrow, but I mean, still like it still feels bad.
Definitely feels better. Yep.
But then what's up with the swords? I mean, you can throw
Yeah,
swords through that stuff, so it's like
They're
WTF.
they're magic. They're magic swords. He's using bullets. Bullets have to obey physics. And also, what was it? But you could also stand next to it and like peek over it with a gun and shoot over it or something. But nope, no way.
that'd be sweet.
I think it would be very interesting, like if all the weapons had to sort of play around those. I mean, it would make it a lot more interesting strategy wise to have like cover, as you're advancing, which we don't really, unless it's a column like or on the left and right side of this map, you don't really have that. You don't really have that ability.
So my next question is, what has your guys' experience been with the pillars on like either side of the map? Have you been able to use it at all to take cover like we were talking about?
I've mostly gotten fucked by them, not
Yikes.
helped by them. Like I think there might have been one match where I was able to sort of help, but most of the units who it helps against just have AoE on them. So like they'll just barrage the spot next to you and hit you anyway. Or I guess Jaden's Magic Blast if you're exactly in like on this chart here and like what row 1 column 5 in that little like corner, maybe you can get out of the range of Jaden or something, but he could also just run to the side and lob it over. So I don't know. um if anything, it's just been annoying for Curry doing barrages because I want to hide there, but I'm also blocking myself by hiding there. So it's been kind of a
Right.
catch
Yeah,
22 there.
I don't think they're like hugely impactful. I think they're more of like, sometimes it might be a minor annoyance or um but yeah, there's ways to get around it. Like you just have to move. But
Right. Yeah, so I asked because I've been having a good experience with them. Basically, like the unit that I want to hide behind the pillar, is able to effectively like dodge an attack, unless they move. And basically, sort of like a chess match. Um, and moving into like range to attack them, like they move into range of one of my other units. So it's been kind of a cool, like kind of forcing maneuver, that I've been able to take advantage of.
Yeah, I think the other difficult part is it goes from 1 to 3. So unless you have jump 2, you kind of get trapped in that corner if you're trying to hide there, unless you're a unit with more jump, which Curry specifically is able to go up that because he has jump 2. But like I've been using Velis, Barrett, and RNA could also go up that way. Now that I've switched to her, but like the other units I was using definitely don't benefit from that corner. And I was also like I looked at the map before we started playing on the class match, but I didn't totally internalize all the heights. And then when I'm looking at the map with the way the planks are, like the art, it was kind of hard for me to interpret sometimes if it was a height up or is it 2 height, 3 height, 4. Everything's like 3 or less, and it seemed like it was a lot higher. So there
Yeah,
have
to
been
me, it's
multiple times where I was screwing myself because I was like, oh, this is like 4 height or 5, like this is 1 higher, and I was completely off. Um, they seem like they're way higher than they are.
they do,
Um,
yeah, they seem like platforms.
which I was excited about again because using Curry he gets to lob bombs from on top, but that's just not the case. And then like the units run up to me, I'm like, oh, whoops, and then I'm just dead. But also in chat, Zine is saying Eliza's AP down is a 3 hit at 4 range, base anyway, and only happens when critting. At least it's a 3 hit, so I imagine if any of them crit, it'll happen.
I was about to
yeah.
say that.
But
Her crit ability is really high up there too. Like she has base crit and she's got like one of the best dex values in the game. So it'll be a pretty you can pretty much bank on it.
part of me is thinking actually now that I'm just talking about it, using Rafal might not be awful. Like she has some AP problems sometimes, but with runes and stuff, maybe I could get over it. But like this spell spread would be huge on this map. When people are clumping in the back and buffing up and hasting and all that, if I could just pop all that off. She also has the AoE sure hit for if people do walk up. She doesn't have super limited movement, so yeah, I could maybe looking at using her. She is squishy as fuck though, so we'd have to see how that works out. But
I
I'm
would say like dispel spread, like among the sort of best moves you can bring into class match. It's probably number one in the game. You have that super long range on it. Most of the units that bring it, have 8 to 9 range with it, and everybody's play generally is to throw up a bunch of mitigation buffs, throw up attack buffs, etc. So just being able to strip those off in one move, along with haste as well, which everybody is bringing now,
mhm.
is crazy utility on that skill. It's really aged well.
Sunglasses Rafal incoming. Gonna give her the +2 range for a turn. It's only for 1 turn on her though, which is rough. Like Curry specifically, it's nice because Emerald Echo, but yeah, I guess on other units it's not nearly as impactful. Um, man, is there another way to give her more range? I guess I could do aim fire, but does Curry have? I don't think he even has aim fire, so that's rough. No, because he's sub Dragoon and Green Mage.
You would use Lara's backpack, Lara's Teamwear if you have her.
I do not have her, but yeah, that would be pretty good. I was thinking of like Herculean waistcloth gives the accuracy just in case as well. Anyway, I'm just theory about my own team now. I can get away from that. But any other thoughts about the sort of meta going on right now? I know we talked about this like sort of new CT manipulation strategy. Kind of Jaden coming back a bit. And also now, by the way, I'm thinking of doing Velis, Jaden, Zazan, and be that guy. But because you do get Keenblade on that team as well. But we'll see how I feel. Yeah. Any other shout outs, mentions, teams you've seen?
I, I'd say like in these non-quicken rule sets, like I don't think we saw haste in the past nearly as much as we've seen in the last maybe 2 to 3 class matches. It's really become like pretty much everybody now is bringing haste, and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the reasons why Lorenzo has become like such an, I'd say, meta, MR unit. Not only because he can get rid of like those OP statuses, like re-raise and immortal, but he does also have time mage sub for haste. So I think Lorenzo has really been out there all over the place. I've seen him, and yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Lorenzo, there's a topic right there. A few people had talked about it in my guild Discord. Then I saw it kind of creep up in the PvP Discord, and now I'm seeing him not even in just like the Joker, not Prompto Lorenzo setup, which was the first one I'd heard about, but like all over the place. I mean, I saw him on an Earth team with him, which had Oberon and Noctis. Uh, his job 25 skill is attractive enough because, like you said, it removes all like the extra life things. And I think Shell and Protect is the other part, right? So it's re-raise, Courage, and then Shell Protect. So that's insane. It's before hitting, so his accuracy doesn't matter. But a lot of the complaints about him have been the agility, and like with all the stuff now, he's up in the 80s, which is pretty sweet. Do you guys have any idea where that originated? Like who the first people to think about Lorenzo was?
I think we started talking to him as soon as we saw his kit hit JP, like in we were kind of I don't know when exactly did his EX come to global though. Was it before the last CM or was it just after? I don't recall exactly when it was,
I
but
think
this
it
is
was a while ago. Although CMs are 2 months now, so actually it could have been since the
I,
last CM.
I don't remember seeing him in the last CM. At least I didn't run
Oh,
into
for
him.
sure not. No. Because like even people who like, not that our Discord is like the end all be all, but a lot of people who play manual PvP seriously are in the Discord. People will talk about it there. Names I've never seen before, or names that I know specifically are not in the Discord, at least not under their in-game name. Maybe they're in there as kind of like low key, whatever, like other names. People who I haven't seen talk about it are using it. So, and it was like on the first day too. So it's not like they saw it and copied it necessarily, although they could have. I think having just a random Lorenzo ready to go though is probably unlikely. So, most of these are probably pre-planned, and it's just interesting that at the same time it's just kind of happened. Someone saying, yeah, as far as saying haste feels mandatory at top level, agree. Nowadays especially, that's why I love Velas. I mean, he's a 2 haste in 1. Like it just feels amazing to be able to do that, and then he takes another turn quickly to haste the third person, so it's great. Because like previously with like Valentine Solier, she'd have to like haste herself first to like haste up the rest of the team as fast as possible, but Velas kind of gets to skip a step. But Zenith is saying win zombies are worth mentioning. So Corwell, HLL, and more the merrier. Said
So
practical use wise, and one of the first people I can use them was Myra and Free. So I assume Corwell probably has the re-raise TMR, because or like how, why is it the zombie team? I know she
HLL and
has it,
more would have re-raise.
right?
Corwell can kind of sit in the back and
Okay.
snipe because he has the longest range. I've seen a couple of permutations of that team. I've seen it with Moore, and I've also seen it with Luartha, Winter Luartha. And Winter, the team that I ran into with Winter Luartha was a player named just Malachi, or maybe actually just Malachi is running that team, but there's also a player named Tommy who's running that
There's
team.
yeah, that's who I DC too.
And
Ooh.
Tommy is using like a very high missile resistance Luartha with, I believe, re-raise to push up. And maybe he even throws like barrier and protect on her. So I couldn't really do any damage, with Prompto and Joker, and he actually beat me. I had actually beat him in an earlier day when he was running another team. But yeah, shout out to Tommy. He's always a competitive player.
Yeah, so White Rose that I matched today, he's also running that team, the Win Zombie team, Corwell, more the merrier, and HLL. Yeah, it's a powerful team, and I think it also covers a lot of bases.
It's a good switch too because a lot of people have been kind of moving towards Oberon and Earth to counter all the
Yeah,
early lightning that's been seen. And there really hasn't been a lot of ice, outside of you Prodigy and maybe a couple other players. I've rarely have been seeing ice this class match. So I think wind is it's a strong play as long as people don't have ice out there.
I think I just one comment, sorry, and then I'll back to Daniel. I full disclosure don't think Ice is the best team to be playing on this map at all. Like it's very hard to find a combination of units that feels good and or like feels not that we want like broken teams, but you want to feel like your team has something really powerful that's bringing to the table to play it, right? And I'm super biased, favoritism, whatever playing ice because I enjoy the units there, and I have all the VCs invested in all that, and just thematically I like it. So definitely not advising people to go out and start playing like Velos Curry teams, but it's just purely I'm just seeing how far I can push the particular combination. But totally agree though, Wind is well positioned in this class match.
I
Daniel,
feel
sorry.
like that ranged win team is going to be able to beat ice in a lot of cases, or at least be competitive against it too, just because of the range factor and not having to adhere to any sort of gunner rules as well. So yeah,
Switch to
it's
Fryevi, I got it.
Just
Crazy wind
thinking that.
resist, like 45 wind resist and like 80 magic or whatever. But anyway, Daniel, what were you about to say? Something, sorry.
So I have a couple thoughts. The first one, before I kind of move on, is it's what's really compelling to me is that Lorenzo kind of fills the spot that Phoebe would normally fill. Like, I can only assume how many of us have Phoebe at 120 and have had her like that for months, if not like over a year. Um, like it's like this map specifically with Nullify Quicken and Healing Power down makes Phoebe feel pretty bad besides her full life. Um, I've actually seen a couple of Phoebe teams. Like the one that I lost to, like I was talking about the Astrius Jaden team, like they had a Phoebe on there. So I think Lorenzo has definitely been able to kind of take Phoebe's place in the sense that, like you guys have mentioned, he doesn't need to worry about accuracy when trying to remove like the prevalence, like re-raise and courage and stuff, shells and protects. So yeah, it's interesting though. Like Phoebe's the go-to, but not this time. So yeah, I think it's really cool how many people have decided that Lorenzo is a worthy replacement. At least for an MR.
I mean, it's just how much thought people are putting into it too. Like, we're not just giving it like, oh, these are the units we know are good, just throw them in, just like last time. Like, there's actually still innovation happening with people putting effort into the format, which is always nice to see because
Exactly.
it shows that we're not dying or dead or anything.
Exactly. Like anything that keeps the community like vibrant and alive and continuing to play and having fun continuing to play is just like it's the whole reason why we're here.
And the competition, honestly, it's getting frustratingly good. Like there's very few matches where I just feel like I'm steamrolling people anymore, where I have to work for what feels like most wins, unless except last night, JB was there for the stream, so he saw it. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see my bullshit win with Curry? All right, so stars aligning last night. I made a couple mistakes. I was down to Curry, and I moved him into a questionable position that I thought might have been out of range, but it wasn't. I counted wrong and I got greedy. And again, this was one of those times where I thought I was higher up than I was on the sides. So the Astrius walks up and does the cross discharge. I reflexed, which was step one to not losing the game. But he must have done the thing where you go like, click the skill, make sure it hits, confirm without thinking, and he hit himself with the cross discharge, and then
No.
he pinged himself with his LB passive and killed himself, and I won the game.
Oh my god, feels bad.
It was the most weird. Like the whole chat was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like I thought he glitched, like because I reflexed, the thing had like nowhere to go and it hit him or some weird bullshit spaghetti code. But no, it was just he hit himself with it. I thought about it. There were two hitboxes. Yeah, it looked like a reflected attack. What did you say in the chat? It was hilarious. I had no business winning that match, but shit happens sometimes.
Fucking reflex, man.
I wonder if he targeted himself without considering the follow up hit, like if maybe he would live through it.
He's like,
be
I
able to-
got this. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it really fast though. Like he moved up, and then the amount of time between him finishing his movement and using the ability, I have to imagine was pretty fast. Yeah, it was one of those moments that. Besides that, wait, sorry.
Reminds me of another game. I don't know why. Like I think it's because my brother played it a lot. It's called Darkest Dungeon. One of the quotes that's like stuck in my brain is like, "Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer." And
That
yeah,
game is really
it
good.
might
I
be
love
yeah.
that game.
The actually similar on the other side of that spectrum is I did what's it called, line really long, goes through targets, yep, sidewinder with Barrett through my Velas to kill 2 units.
So
So, and I was like, if I crit, I might kill Valos, but we'll go for it. I crit. He lives like 106 HP or something, and then my opponent like was very confused, I guess, and I had my units split, missed his turn, then I won the game because Velos got to hit more. I might have still won anyway, because he would have had to kill Velos. I would have had 2 turns with Curry, but I think it would have been likely that I did not win that match. But other than situations like that, every match has felt super competitive, and it's definitely JB. I was saying how like it's cool nowadays. People are still innovating, like using things like the Renzo, and like we're not just defaulting back to the sort of old favorites or what worked last time. Like people are giving it real thought. Especially I think the trust stones have kind of given new life to that. And that it's everyone's like frustratingly good at the game now. Like it's not I'm not rolling my matches like ever anymore. So those funny stories came up as like times where I didn't have to play well to win. But yeah, it's been a ride these last couple class matches for sure, skill wise.
so my second thought was, don't you guys think it's interesting how we're seeing more like rainbow-ish teams where like you might see like 2 elements and another element? When mono elements have been strong basically since they were released. Well, at least since the second, and to a lesser extent like the second VCs and stuff. But I've seen a lot of successful like teams where they weren't mono elements, and it's just really surprising because like as soon as you switch to another element for one of your units, like the it impacts the rest of your units that are on the same element, and like they get less HP, they get less of that element's attack. And you have to consider like, is the dynamic of the new unit of a different element being introduced worth the impact of that like not the same element synergy? So what do you guys think about that?
I think if it's specifically ice and water, it's a little easier because we do have. If we continue to get dual or split element VCs, I think that'll increase that percentage that we see those dramatically. But in general, I mean, I could see like yeah, units like Lorenzo like can support a rainbow team. They can hold a VC for each element. Like the other one unit has 2 of theirs, one unit has 2 of theirs, and Lorenzo's like I'm just here as a hay spot. Granted, you probably want some agility VC somewhere in the team for him, but like
Yeah,
he can hold
that's
stuff for the other units, like stuff like
that's
that.
pretty
Like
much how I've been running Lorenzo. Is I just have
his
the
dark
2
VCs.
Yeah, I got the Black Rose in his main slot, and or Ramza in his main slot, and Black Rose in the sub slot. And interestingly, he can use Shadow Flare, which I think is pretty cool too. And I have done that a
Look at his
couple of
time
times.
Super
mage.
weird.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's the other thing. My Curry can use the Pierce VC, the astrologer one. I've done it multiple times where like I did it around my units to hit them, or like they were like 93% resist Jadens, and I'm like, okay, Pierce. It's like Pierce wave.
Yeah, another interesting point for Lorenzo is he can use that VC as well and get the
Oh
defense
yeah.
break for your other units. So, just I mean, a lot of great value. I think. I mean, I think what the going back to your point though, like since the second anniversary and that secondary vision card update, I feel like that's really opened the floodgates for this style of team and
Yep.
definitely has made it more refreshing, like in terms of team building and some of the combinations you can put together are a lot more interesting now than it had been, I think, leading up to the second anniversary.
Yeah, especially you can go like mono, you like your selfish element main card, and then you can go party supporting secondary card. And then if you're say you're using like Signs of House Belv and you happen to have a light unit, like they can also benefit from that in their main slot, but also the main part you want for everybody is the agility, so you get kind of like the double dip. Because there's honestly some of the VCs, like the older style ones that aren't super mono element, are still viable. Like they're still worth using. So
Yeah.
being able to find those combinations as well is really, I think, important to using rainbow teams like that.
What do you guys think of the effect that the parameters of this class match have had on those teams, if any?
I think I mean, just whenever Quicken's nullified, it completely changes the dynamic. There's some teams that will only exist when Quicken's allowed, and some units that I think are a lot better as Quicken target carries than they are as just general use carries. So it
Yeah.
changes kind of what the threats the threats might be. And then obviously healing power down. You're not seeing stuff like, not that I think Yoon is even that particularly great in CM, honestly, but like you're not seeing dedicated healers. Like Fellas has a heal, but it also gives AP. Or he has a Mastery Team Art, but it also gives a barrier. So it's like the multi-use heals are useful, but I'm not playing him because he heals. And yeah, I mean, it's less bruisery too, so I think it facilitates more like the damage you put on your opponent tends to stick a lot easier in these rules, right? So Rangers are supported, and Rangers or missile units, whatever word you want to use, have traditionally been one of the better rainbow setups, I think, especially because Frederica's Dream is not lightning locked and for the damage bonus. So I think, and Ifrit for like the attack percent, etc. Talking about rainbow teams. Yeah, I mean, I think that's mainly the impact on that. Is like supports range teams, and there's some units you can expect to not see.
JB, what do you think? Like in conjunction with like the cost 240.
Oh, that too.
Well, I don't know. I one of my biggest gripes with class match right now is sort of the flip flop between these. We essentially have just two rule sets. It feels like right now, and we're flip flopping between like, you know, um, quicken bans and CTs allowed, but you can't heal. And then the other rule set is like, okay, you can use quicken, you can use healing, but you can't use CT. You know, or what I feel like we just have essentially two rule sets now, and I really miss some of the more experimental rule sets that we used to get, like in terms of okay, missile resistance and magic resistance is buffed, or you know you can't use evasion now, right? Because everybody gets you know a bunch of accuracy. So I really miss them playing with those kind of parameters and worrying so much specifically
Oh,
about like
crystals! Oh,
healing
sorry.
and
Had
yeah.
a
The
cough.
other thing, you know, crystals obviously is was another big loss for the mode. Um, I'm actually planning on making a video of like my biggest manual gripes, and you know, I hope I can get everybody to kind of rally behind it, and maybe Gumi will listen. You know, because I feel like I don't know. I'm not so in tune with JP to know how much they really like CM, but I feel like we have a really good community on global, and there's a lot of players that really enjoy the mode, and kind of you know that's why they play the game. So I hope maybe we can you know do something to sort of get some more attention on it. You know, at least operationally wise. Maybe they're not going to develop for the mode, but I feel like operationally there's very easy things they could do to make the mode more interesting and attract more players. So, you know, I don't know. Kind of a
AP
tangent.
cross server global CM matches, Myra. Spicy.
Yeah, I feel like I'll be the first person in line behind you. Like you're kind of, I see you as like my spiritual successor um as a content creator. Like you are doing the kind of things that I wanted to do but no longer have the time to. Especially when it comes to reaching out to Gumi or like being critical about things or uh you know that would be better for the community and stuff. So yeah, I'm 100% behind you, and I feel like a lot of us are too.
100%. I mean, I looked up to you, you know, before I got my start, so I kind of
Thanks, man.
stole some of your thunder there.
I'm just gonna get out of the call real quick. No,
Step aside, everybody.
yeah, right. Let you two have your moment. No, yeah. I mean, I would definitely support that. I mean, I can be, what's the right word? Explosive's not the right word, but I can be spicy sometimes and say things like particularly to incite a reaction. I guess provocative maybe,
I think
but
you're having an effect on me, actually.
yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, though, like I can help articulate things, and I would 100% support, be able to make a post help out or whatever. Um, most of it's just for humor, honestly. But yeah, man, I really hope that's the greatest meme I've ever seen, Logi. Complaining swings. It's the fucking balls going like this, or they hit each other, and then one side's quick and one side's camping. Oh, that's actually. Oh man, aside real quick. That's what I really miss. Reddit posts complaining about camping, and then people wanting quicken banned. Oh, oh, the greatest takes. Now, anyway, yeah, I hope that when if and when you do that, there will be some visibility for it. Maybe do we just all have to wait, have you guys ever watched Bar Rescue?
Yeah, I've seen it.
You see like was it like crack open the book or pull back the whatever, open the books and make a call for help? Like that's like we should just show our like, hey, these are we're all whales here and we have these complaints. Is that like how we have to do it for Goomy? But no, anyway, yeah, I would totally support that.
Yeah,
Man,
I, ju-
I've
I just
tried.
I feel like the mode's kind of on like true life support now that it's gone to like every other month. And like a lot, I've seen even like a lot of longtime players that used to be pretty active in our channel and everything that we don't see them anymore. We don't hear about, from them anymore, which, we see posts sometimes of people like, oh, maybe I'll just gonna skip this CM because I don't like this rule set, or, I don't like the meta or whatever. And a lot of the meta that's developed is specifically because of the two rule sets that they keep
Mm-hmm.
flip flopping between. It has a huge impact on what people are playing, because obviously, people are going to try to go the route of least resistance when they're, you know trying to sweat out wins and whatever. So
Yeah, and especially like not look behind the curtain instead of just like they would rather, or they are just used to like commenting on like what's in front of them.
yeah,
Yeah. As we've said a million times, it should be very simple. Also, in friendly duels, so the people who want to choose to play the mode, just give us selections. You have selections on like the team screens. I know they know how to make a drop down menu. Just drop down menu, apply rule set that already exists in the game. Apply like you can have 3 rules or something. You can nullify stuff. You can decrease healing. Do whatever you want, and we could make infinite content for ourselves. And honestly, class match every other month, fine. Because then that's one stressful week. No, I'd rather more, of course, Daniel. I'm saying fine as in like if there has to be no other change.
I'm like, you fucking take that
In
back.
in addition to
Shut
what I'm
up.
saying, if we could just set rules and then we could do our own content, our own matches, and like our own practice, and we could do our own thing, it would go very far in helping, I think. Because like we've shown before, we will rally as a community and create our own tournaments or our own setups. It's just if it's also supported in game, we can make it a lot more interesting. And it should not be difficult to implement things that are already in the code via a drop down menu or something. So unless they're like hard coding the rules per map or something, like some bullshit, then maybe it's harder. But even then, like, yeah, it can be moved.
100%. Speaking of which, we really need to formulate a like some kind of new tournament. It's been way too long since we've had anything like that.
I
Uh,
will not be able to host it 100%, but I will heavily consider joining if someone else can take the reins on that.
I've been thinking about setting one up, but yeah, I gotta just kind of get off my ass and set something. And unfortunately, like if as the host, you also don't get to play in it, which is kind of a bummer for me. But yeah, it's long overdue. Like unfortunately, long time doesn't really host them anymore.
I was
So
about to say,
yeah, somebody else needs to kind of take the reins for him. He kind of did it for a while, and yeah, we need that in the community to spark interest and kind of get people excited. So
You could design the rule set, which is honestly one of the harder parts, to make sure it's a sort of fun and balanced rule set. It's enforceable, but without being overbearing on people. Um, and then you could have someone else who won't be able to like play in it or commit to times run it. I mean, you could just like basically hand somebody the package of like, can you just handle the like match reporting? And then you could play it yourself. So I mean, you could do it that way also. And also, I don't really see why you couldn't play in it. I guess there's like some bias towards like ruling stuff, but like that doesn't happen often enough, I don't think. And I don't see a problem with you playing in it if you're hosting it, to be honest. Maybe someone could find an argument that would be convincing, but right now I can't think of anything for why you
for
couldn't.
me, for me, it would be more like a focus thing. Like it would be hard for me to get into game mode, or like I could play in it and maybe like I'd be at like 80% or 70% just because my attention's divided. But yeah, for sure, you could definitely come up with ways that you could do both, I think.
I mean, they're pretty low maintenance once they're going. It's just a matter of like, especially if you set up a bracket properly, like we use challenge or something. So I think a long time went to a mode where like he forced you to sign up for the site and use the site because it has a good management system in the background to where people can report their matches, win, loss, win, if it's a best of 3 or whatever. And then like if you have points or something, you can add that as a parameter. So I we can talk about it another time, the minutia of running a tournament, but also in support of that. So I think we're on kind of the same track there. Anything you guys want to bring up before we wrap up for the morning? Implying, I guess, that there's more content later, but that's not the case. Except if you guys stream later.
Nothing really comes to mind.
Yeah, nothing except like stuff for the future at this point. It's kind of other than Resnick, it's been kind of a slower week. We're kind of wrapping up with the raids and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if nobody has anything else, I don't think there's any messages we've missed in chat. If I'm ever looking away from the camera and like talking to myself, my mouth is moving but no words are coming out. I'm like reading chats and stuff. So that's what I am. I'm not like crazy or my mic's not muted. But I think we've addressed everything there. So thank you everybody for tuning in, especially you in the live audience here. Always appreciated. I'd say your mornings, but I know people are all over the place in the world, so I'm not gonna assume your time zone. So thank you for tuning in wherever you are, and giving us your time. And thank you, JB, for joining us again. Insight is always appreciated. Like I said, you're killing it with the content and the analysis, and really, really love to see it.
yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I've been wanting to come back on for a while. It's been well over a year since I came on last. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Until next time, I have been Zach Bro.
I've been Daniel Boom.
And we'll see you next time.